And this is Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where the struggling Panthers look to pull a big-time shocker against the Duke team coming off that loss to Carolina. Malik Brown making just his second start in Duke colors wins the tip for Jon Scheyer's Blue Devils. Brown is in there for Gungbo with Caleb Foster lobbing it up and getting Brown an early touch. And he tips it in on the first possession.
Smart play by Malik Brown, really just to guide that into the basket, not trying to force the dunk and get the highlight.
The Panthers, coached by Jeff Capel in his 8th season. It's a very thin Pitt team due to injuries and absences. They only have 8 available scholarship players, a couple of walk-ons and a redshirt as well. Cameron Corrin, their leading scorer on the court, with Brandon Cummings out, has the first 2 for Pitt.
And the Zoo can throw their confetti at this point after the first made field goal of the game for the Panthers. Cameron Corrin getting to the mid-range, and Pitt going to need a big performance from him to be successful here tonight.
Boozer for the freshman Dame Sarr, short on a 3. And here's Pitt with the freshman Omari Witherspoon. Wes, thank you very much. Great win for Miami over Carolina. And now the other half of Saturday's Duke-UNC thriller. The Blue Devils on the road here in Pitt. They've got buckets from Malik Brown and Isaiah Evans. Kevin Brown, Corey Alexander here from the Pete. The starting 5 for the Pitt Panthers: DeMarco Minor, Omari Witherspoon to the guards, Barry Dunning, Roman Cialepa, Cam Corrin. For a Pitt team that has been bruised and battered this season, but has a couple of early buckets. This one from the senior Dunning.
And a strong offensive start for the Panthers, attacking the basket, able to get 2 baskets to go early. Cameron Corrin getting involved and having, of course, a lot to deal with in this game on both ends of the floor.
The starting 5 for Duke: Foster, Evans, and Sarr the guards, as Foster misses a 3. Cameron Boozer, the likely National Player of the Year, is next to Malik Brown. There's an injury for Duke we'll tell you about momentarily, which means Brown is making just his second start in 2 years with Duke. Here's Cialepa, a 3 for the freshman from Australia.
And you've got to imagine Roman Cialepa looking forward to playing in this game. The power forward matchup between he and Cameron Boozer, playing against one of the best in the country, if not the best in the country, and having an opportunity.
He's on Boozer, who immediately got rid of the ball to Brown, even with a one-on-one against Cialepa, and then Malik throws it away. Witherspoon ahead for Dunning!
Jon Scheyer with the timeout early as the Panthers have gotten off to a perfect.
Blue Devils' 3rd leading scorer, 2nd leading rebounder, out with a left wrist injury. Jon Scheyer told us he suffered it in the North Carolina game, even though he only played 16 minutes and fouled out. So Malik Brown, the start for Duke, which snaps his 7-0 run with a dunk of its own. The first bucket for Cameron Boozer, 2nd leading scorer in the country.
And that's the advantage the Blue Devils have. Whenever they're struggling, they have a guy they can throw the basketball to, whether it's on the perimeter or on the interior. And Cameron Boozer normally delivers.
Pitt has started out 4 for 5. The stitched-together Panthers team, down its leading scorer in Brandon Cummings, who's just 3 straight with ankle issue. Cialepa, his second 3. Just a 30% three-pointer, and Pitt is 5 for 6.
And Cialepa's biggest game of the season, 28 points for him against Penn State. Pitt's last non-conference game, but he was 5 of 6 from 3 in that game. Now he does the job defensively with the steal, taking it away from Boozer.
There's Minor off the takeaway. Minor, Cialepa, in and out. Halfway home to a 3rd.
But right now, Jeff Capel thinking to himself, don't fall in love with the 3, even though it's going well. Isaiah Evans answering once again after getting his 2nd field goal of the game.
Evans rises over DeMarco Minor, 2nd leading scorer for Duke at 14 a game. 4-point lead for Pitt, which is 5 for 7 and has turned Duke over twice. Here's the freshman Omari Witherspoon. Out for Corrin, not a typical 3-point shooter. Only hit 9 on the year.
But that's 8 more than what he made last season, so that's improvement.
That's trending upward. 9 for 28. Foster wraps it around to Evans in the corner, hits a three.
But those are the shots that Jon Scheyer wants to see more of from Isaiah Evans. Shots that are catch and shoot, that his teammates are creating for him in comparison to taking many shots on the move. And Caleb Foster with a nice find to the corner allows Evans to pick up his 7th point.
It extends, by the way, the longest streak in the nation for Duke, which has now made it 3 in 1,288 consecutive games. Evans will fake a three. He's got the last 5 for Duke. And misfires on a deep 2. Will stay with Duke with 14:40 to go in the first half. Good start for Pitt, up a point. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by Progressive Insurance. Bundle home and auto and save. Visit Progressive.
For Cameron Boozer, not many teams have been able to do that throughout this season.
It's pretty amazing. We say they made life difficult. He still scored 24, but his worst shooting game since non-conference against Florida. 4 turnovers for Boozer. We're nitpicking because he's Cameron Boozer. We're nitpicking because he scored 23, 10 rebounds, 4 assists a game this year.
And he's the 2nd leading scorer in the country, also leading the ACC in rebounding, and is top 12 in assists. He's top 6 in steals, and more importantly, he's probably the most valuable player in the country to his team.
And right on cue, he blocks a shot of Minor. Dunning recovers and misses a 3.
Did I mention he's also won the Naismith Defensive Player of the Award?
Feel free. Throw it into the accolades. Back-to-back seasons, it appears Duke will have a freshman National Player of the Year, Cooper Flagg, a year ago. Boozer is tripped up in the lane. There's the game's first foul, nearly 6 minutes in. It's whistled by Tony Henderson, who is joined by Clarence Armstrong and Courtney Green, and it's on Roman Ciulepa. So yeah, that's Cameron Boozer. Only A.J. Debonsa, the better scorer. Leads Duke in scoring, rebounding, assists, and steals. 58, 38, 76 the shooting splits. Finds his brother Caden Boozer, who passes up a 3. Dame Sarr missed it, and Jon Scheyer told us today Caden needs to be ready to shoot.
Well, everyone needs to be ready to shoot. That's really been the struggle for the Blue Devils throughout the season. Only made 7 threes against Carolina in that loss, but they've struggled shooting the basketball. They do much more of their domination in the painted area.
Marius Indrositis has it knocked away by Brown. Ciulepa with 3 to shoot. Feeds Dunning. He's got to get it up. Indrositis will, and he hits it. Clarence Armstrong immediately whistles to see if Indrositis got that shot off the fingertips before the expiration of the shot clock.
It's interesting from our vantage point. You were able to see it. It looked like it was good in live action.
For possible shot clock violation.
When Dunning had the basketball at the top of the key, I thought there was no chance that they could get that shot off. And that's correct. It's still in his hands.
After review, there's no basket, shot clock violation, Duke basketball.
So what we always look at in live action is the red light around the shot clock, but that is a split second late. So when you consider the fact that the officials have the opportunity to go over and look at any made bucket, and they got that one absolutely correct.
So it'll go as Pitt's 2nd turnover, and the Panthers have now missed their last 4. 1-point Pittsburgh lead as Caden Boozer brings it up the floor. Freshman brothers from Columbus High School in Miami share the floor together, and here is Cameron. Cameron's got the switch on the 6'4" freshman Witherspoon.
But they were unable to get him the basketball in the painted area. Nice foul.
It was a nice find.
The shot clock was not correct. Yeah. Clarence Armstrong looking at the shot clock, still saying 15 seconds. And that was a very long possession for there still to be half of the shot clock remaining. So in real time, you'll see the Boozer driving. There's 15 seconds on the shot clock at this point. Game clock shot stops as well, so there's probably another 10 seconds of game action. That's devious.
Well within the margin of error, Corey Alexander. So Duke will draw something up here. Darren Harris, who did not play against Carolina, is going to inbound this ball to Cameron Boozer. 2 strong dribbles. Boozer gets Core into the air, and that's a pretty good play out of a timeout.
Great play, and you get Boozer an opportunity really just to play one-on-one in the painted area. Cameron Core, the senior, strong defender. However, you've got to be even stronger to defend possibly the National Player of the Year.
1-point lead for Duke. Pitt going on nearly 4 minutes without a point, and Omari Witherspoon throws it right to Caden Boozer. Caden missed Nicholas Amenya, and then Harris couldn't grab it. Duke turns it over for the 3rd time. There are weaknesses for Duke offensively. There aren't many. They're not a great three-point shooting team, and they have a little trouble with live ball turnovers. 211th in the country in live ball turnover rate. They get a live ball turnover of their own. Caleb Foster on the kick. Amenya short from 3. Got his own rebound. Missed it again, and the 3rd shot for the freshman from LA is good.
But Jeff Capel immediately looking at Roman Silepa and encouraging him to get a defensive rebound. Silepa, a great offensive rebounder, but has more offensive rebounds than he does defensive rebounds on the year. That time giving up one that allows the Blue Devils to pick up second chance points.
9 in a row for Duke. Andrew Sias cut off. Pitt deep in the shot clock again. Gets a hoist from Witherspoon, not close. Foster can run for Duke. Foster kicks it. Amenya way short.
Important possession right now for the Panthers. They need a score in the worst way. They've been stuck on 12, seems like forever.
They're no longer stuck.
And Jeff Capel wants a timeout. He wants to talk it over to make sure that he does not let the Blue Devils get any separation in this first half. Nice 3 ball by Stephanie.
It is tied at 68. It will be North Carolina basketball. They have trailed by as many as 13. Boozer switches onto him. Dixon the kick. Trimble! Got it! And Carolina wins it! The best rivalry in college basketball. It never gets old.
One of the greatest finishes in the greatest rivalry in the sport. A wonderful Dan Shulman on the call as Duke suffered its second loss of the year, 21-2. A small dent in what is still an amazing resume, Corey. 10-2 in quad one to lead the nation. And the question for John Sire today, it's all about how Duke responds to that tough defeat, as Darren Harris misses a good look from three.
And when you consider the fact that in Duke's 2 losses, they've held double-digit leads in both, up 15 at one point versus Texas Tech, up 13 versus Carolina in the loss on Saturday. And John Sire made it very clear to us, they have to finish games better. And this one, they did. Their defense didn't really get off to the start that he's normally used to seeing from his group. The Panthers were able to get pretty much everything they wanted offensively to start the game, but Duke has been able to settle in since.
4 turnovers in the last 6 Pitt positions before this one, as Dunning misses a difficult shot near the rim.
The one thing we got to look at during this game is Cameron Corn gets in there and picks up the foul. Darren Harris attacking the basket. Without Gungba, there's very little front court depth for the Blue Devils, so Malik Brown now most likely will come in and give Cameron Boozer a spell. No, he's going to get him in here. Cameron Boozer has yet to go out of this game. It'll be interesting to see how many minutes he plays throughout this one. Of course, they rely on him for so much, both offensively and defensively. But playing 40 minutes in an ACC game is tough.
Foul was actually charged to Minor, so he and Cialep had the only 2 fouls of the game. No fouls whistled against Duke for nearly 10 minutes. On the bounce, Boozer feeds Foster in the lane. Caleb Foster scores his first bucket.
And Caleb Foster at 6'5", able to take advantage over a much smaller guard. And Minor trying to defend him once he gets into the painted area.
You mentioned the loss of Gunn, but this would be the game to do it, because Duke, the tallest team in the ACC, is facing Pitt, the smallest team in the ACC. Minor on a step back, strikes a chord from deep.
Now how about 4 3-point field goals now for the Panthers, shooting the basketball extremely well on their home floor and able to take the lead right back.
Caden Boozer into his brother. Cameron out of the double. A cutting Caden will finish.
And once again, the positional size. Caden Boozer, 6'4", against Minor, who's listed at 6 feet, maybe a little smaller, but Boozer able to finish right around the rim.
And the assist to Cameron, who's got a couple of assists on the last 2 Duke buckets. Brown switches on to Witherspoon. Boozer against Cialepa, who's hit 3 threes already. Gets it back from Dunning. Cialepa drives on Boozer and couldn't bank it home. Brown on a cut for Boozer, who banks it in with the left.
I'm not sure which was more impressive, the pass or the finish. Great finish by Caden Boozer, attacking and using the rim as a shield, also going with the left hand off the glass.
Witherspoon scores it with a foul. The first Duke foul of the game puts the freshman from Bowie, Omari Witherspoon, in a 3-point position.
Witherspoon, hearing all the conversation about freshmen in this game, wants to make sure his name gets mentioned. Omari Witherspoon able to go off the bounce. An opportunity for 3 at the free throw stripe.
You think he's hearing us?
I think he's heard it before. Maybe not this, not currently. I think he's just heard it before.
It's been a little quiet at times in here. It's possible. Omari Witherspoon, 16 starts. He's had to take a bigger role. Brandon Cummings, their leading scorers, missed 7 games with an ankle injury. Witherspoon out of Bowie, Maryland, will not complete the 3-point play. Pitt has some good young players. They had a great freshman class coming in next year, but they've had trouble supplementing it. They're out 2 players in the front court. Deshaun Jackson's been out the whole season. And Papa Amadou Kante, another big man, had knee surgery yesterday, only 8 games. Off the deflection by Corrin. Here is Pitt with Dunning. Corrin a little slow to get back behind the play. Clarence Armstrong will whistle the play dead.
Corrin immediately grabbing for that left ankle after getting a deflection, and which results in a turnover. Corrin going down, and we mentioned playing 40 minutes is difficult in an ACC game. Cameron Corrin has actually done it this year. One of the top 10 players in the league in minutes per game. Jeff Capel relies on him so much, and probably even more so in this contest here this evening.
Corrin's got a couple of assists early. One bucket, he sets a screen for Miner into all kinds of traffic. Found Dunning. And Corrin can't grab the offensive rebound. Foster. Sarr back on the floor for Duke, which is without both boozers at the moment. Here's Brown operating as a point center. A tough catch for Evans, and he couldn't grab it. 5th turnover for Duke, which has been a little sloppy here. A heavy favorite of just 1 on the road in Pittsburgh.
Well, nothing sloppy about this. Malik Brown, who's shown off his passing, finds Caden Boozer with the nice left-hand finish off the glass for the Blue Devils.
All right, gentlemen, thank you. Houston is one of 7 Big 12 teams Joe Lunardi has projected in the tournament right now on February the 10th. Big 10 and SEC with 10 apiece. The ACC with 8, including the Miami Hurricanes, who got a huge win tonight, Corey, right before us against North Carolina.
Yeah, one of the things that when you think about the Duke-North Carolina rivalry, you always look at the game after. Who has the hangover? And again, when you consider the Seth Trimble, the struggles from Seth Trimble and Derek Dixon in that game, maybe there was a little hangover on Carolina's part.
Dunning bricks it. Trimble and Dixon, who of course connected for the game-winning 3, combined for just 6 points tonight in Miami's home win over UNC. Hurricanes, that's a big win. They look like a tournament team, obviously with work to do under Jay Lucas, who was an assistant at Duke a year ago. Great catch by Brown off a wayward pass. Here's Evans, short on a 3, and Dunning grabs a rebound. A little bit of a hangover for Duke maybe as well, or something else in the sloppy start?
No, I believe Pittsburgh has brought the fight to the Blue Devils early in this game, and when you lose, it's hard to have a hangover because you're trying to get back on track. As John Shire told us, he's just trying to win some games, as if he hasn't won all but 2 this season.
Yeah, what was him at 21-2? Hey, Saturday night, huge day of men's college basketball, and there's a signature women's game with College Game Day at 8 Eastern over on ABC. It is South Carolina, ranked 3rd in the country. LSU ranked 6th. 2 national championship and national championship caliber programs. Again, that game is on ABC.
Malaysia Full Wiley playing against South Carolina, where she was a season ago. We've seen it throughout college basketball all season long. Players playing against their former teams. But it's going to be interesting to see Malaysia going up against Dawn Staley and Joyce Edwards, who has been absolutely balling without Chloe Kitts in the lineup this season.
End of the shot clock, Cialepa all air. Miner tried to save it with 0.2 of a second to go. He was out of bounds. By the way, the last foul was on Malik Brown. He's got both of Duke's fouls.
Well, and Malik Brown, who got in foul trouble in the first half versus UNC. As a matter of fact, between Malik Brown, Cameron Boozer, and Patrick Gumba, they had 7 fouls in the first half of that game. UNC only had 6 for the entire game. But John Shire did not make an excuse about that, though. He made it very clear his team needed to put the pressure on the officials attacking the basket, not setting for jump shots to get to the free throw line.
And remember, no Patrick Gumba for Duke tonight with a left wrist issue. Foster, difficult drive and finish for Duke.
Nice finish. Going to the left hand on the reverse layup. That's where Caleb Foster's had so much success during the season, attacking the basket. His 16 second half points versus Louisville, the majority of that came from getting to the rim And a guy that was an elite shooter in high school really hasn't found that touch from beyond the arc.
Minor driven backwards by Jimenez and the Duke defense. Minor on a bounce. Indrusitis denied by Dame Sarr. And Duke did not have possession, so that is a shot clock violation. The second the Blue Devils have forced tonight.
But that is the true calling card for this Blue Devil squad. It's their defense. Lead the ACC in scoring defense, one of the best defensive teams in the country. And a lot of it has to do with the fact you have guys like Dame Sarr who can contest shots on the perimeter, and more importantly, they finish each and every possession with a defensive rebound. Duke, one of the best rebounding teams in the league as well.
Foster into Boozer. Missed it against Cialeppa. Rebound down to Dunning.
You see Cialeppa with his rugby background up for all the physicality that Cameron Boozer brings to this game.
He leads them on this side with 9, Cialeppa. He's held his own. Cameron Boozer only 4 points, 1 rebound. Witherspoon floats it out for Dunning. His second three.
But everything for the Panthers is assisted. They continue to share the basketball extremely well. 7 assists on their 9 made field goals in this game.
23-23. The ACC's first place team against one of the teams tied for last. Foster will shoot it. Boozer can't grab the rebound, but he does knock it out to Foster. Evans sets up Jimenez, and Duke will reset. Cameron Boozer buries Indrusitis and spins it home.
Tim O'Toole, who coached at Duke and also coached with Coach K at Army, up on the sideline wanting a travel on Boozer on that last possession.
Forced three by Minor is grabbed by Boozer. Here's Foster into Dunning. Foster gets fouled. Caleb Foster draws the Dunning foul. It's his first. Duke has taken the lead back.
Cameron Boozer, did he for the Blue Devils? He has not really been extremely aggressive throughout this game, but right now, Duke still with 20 points in the paint. Pitt has no answer to Coach Greenberg's pressure.
Yeah, that's the funny thing. It hasn't been Cameron Boozer. It's been Caleb Foster in the paint. It's been Isaiah Evans at one point in the paint. Caden Boozer in the paint. But Duke's 20-25.
Also, with no Patrick Gungba, I'm sure John Shire is trying to make sure he manages Cameron Boozer's minutes, as well as how much of his usage he has to take care of on the floor throughout this first half, knowing they're going to need much more of him in the second.
There's Gungba out with a left wrist issue. And we just saw the first free throw made by anybody today, Caleb Foster. So Duke has done all this work in the paint, but hasn't drawn more than 3 fouls, and that's just the 3rd foul committed by a Blue Devil. It's Caden Boozer.
But that also goes back to Coach Greenberg's point. Duke is not drawing fouls because they're playing 5 out, and the guys doing the majority of the damage in the paint are their guards. And so, they have 2 elite passers in Malik Brown and Cameron Boozer at the top of the key. But if you give Cameron Boozer the basketball in the painted area, he's going to get to the free throw line, and he's also going to put points on the board.
Indrusitis is the only Pitt player to come off the bench so far. Dunning lets it fly. A couple of threes for Dunning. He's into double figures, and Pitt has retied it.
And to my Oak Hill Hall of Fame brother, Ron Slay, in studio says the three-pointer is the great equalizer, and that has been the weapon of choice for the Panthers.
Boozer off the miss by Foster, got it back. Was knocked away from Foster, should say, and then Cameron Boozer draws a foul.
Indrusitis driving, and Dunning Jr. just relocating. Great footwork, going straight up, straight down, able to knock down the 3-ball. And the most important part of it all, giving credit for it to his teammate for finding him for 3.
8 assists, 10 made field goals now for Pittsburgh. And here is Cameron Boozer.
So now here's the thing. You hear the overrated chant from the zoo. There are bears in zoos, correct?
In many, yes.
Okay. You should know, don't wake the sleeping bear. Okay, if Cameron Boozer is chilling in this first half, 7 points for him, that's chilling. Don't wake him up by screaming overrated, because the last thing you want him to do in this game is show off why he is the front runner for the National Player of the Year, which I'm sure at some point he will, but don't encourage that to happen earlier.
I think bizarrely, for a guy who is the best player in the nation and playing for Duke, and the son, by the way, of a great Duke player, Carlos Boozer, as Dunning hits another three, Pitt's in the lead. I think bizarrely Cameron Boozer is actually underrated.
I definitely believe he's underrated. And, you know, we had a conversation off air about he hasn't received the attention that Cooper Flagg did a season ago, as his twin brother is able to get the bucket in the paint area off another nice find from Cameron. But a lot of that has to do with the fact that Cameron has much more competition in the freshman class than did Cooper Flagg last year. Cooper's primary competition was on his own team with Con Knupp.
Duke by a point. Pitt has hit 7 threes in this first half. Cialeppa breaks a potential 8th.
And one concern for the Panthers, you can't fall in love with that three.
Foster's had a terrific first half. He's got 7 points, 3 rebounds, a couple of assists, and another dicing drive.
And this is the best version of Caleb Foster when he's attacking, especially in transition, before the defense can get back and get set. Able to attack the rim and get a quick bucket.
Duke by 3 in the final 80 seconds and a half. Very similar first half for Pitt to the one Saturday against SMU. Wrapped into Corin, has the size advantage on Harris. Couldn't finish. Rebound to Cameron Boozer.
Give Darren Harris a lot of credit, standing his ground against the stronger, taller Cam Corin, forcing him to take a fadeaway jump shot.
Here's Caden Boozer. Harris with a 3. That is pure.
And that is only the second made three-point field goal for Darren Harris in ACC play. But that is what he does. John Shire made it very clear to us he was going to get an opportunity this evening and taking advantage of it on defensive end and now offensively as well.
January 24th against Wake was his only other made 3 in either of his first 2 seasons in an ACC game. Largest lead for Duke. Witherspoon can't cut into it, and then a foul is going to go against Harris of Duke to keep the possession with Pitt. Neither team is close to the bonus.
The guard stepping up for the Blue Devils. Caleb Foster with a nice crossover, attacking, going to the left hand, finishing high off the glass. And then Darren Harris spotting up, knocking down a huge 3. And of course, looking back to his brotherhood on the bench to celebrate.
St. Paul the 6th and team takeover standout, Darren Harris. I can't believe I'm the one to say that at this broadcast table. Not a second between shot and game clock. Pitt can hold for just about the final shot. Minor against Boozer. Minor over Boozer. Over everything. So Pitt battled, had the lead for much of the half. In the final 8.5 minutes, he had 9 points on 3 threes. At the end of the half. Could be a factor for Pitt here, Corey. They only use 1 substitute in the first half, Noyes Andrositis, not counting the 0.6 of a second Kieran Mullen played at the end. How much energy do you expect the shorthanded team to have?
I believe they'll still have a significant amount of energy, especially here on their home floor. This, I'm sure, the biggest crowd they've had at a game this season. Everyone gets their biggest crowds when the Blue Devils show up. A bucket by Cialeppa that could have absolutely helped the Panthers to get on the board first here in the second half, unable to go down.
Well, Darren Harris starts the second half on the floor for Duke, along with Caden Boozer. No Malik Brown to start the half, and no Isaiah Evans, as Caden Boozer is swatted by Cameron Corin.
Well, maybe John Shire felt like that Evans, as well as possibly Brown, had the hangover from the rivalry game this weekend. But Malik Brown going back to his usual role, coming off the bench where he's been so successful all season long.
Darren Harris has never started a game in 2 years at Duke. Not sure if he started a half before this. Cialeppa blanks a 3.
But as you mentioned before, against this Pittsburgh team, as Sarr gets away with a little bit of a travel, and there wasn't called, and Darren Harris trying to get him for an offensive rebound. But against this Pittsburgh team, it's actually a pretty good size matchup because you're not playing against a very tall team. So for Jon Scheyer to shake it up a little bit and recognizing that he's going to need to find that energy that the Panthers may not have with only having 8 available players.
Not that Duke is terribly deep either, but they did at least play 3 off the bench. Here's Dunning. Have the last 9 of the first half for Pitt. His shot is followed up by Siolepa, who can pick up Pitt's first free throw. Panthers were 0 for 1 in the first half.
Speaking of first, that's the first offensive rebound for Roman Siolepa, who has had 34 offensive rebounds in his last 6 games. Is #1 in the ACC during league play and 3rd nationally as far as league play games go, and offensive rebounding at 4.6 per game in ACC action.
Well, the numbers have just shot up for this freshman from Brisbane, Australia. He struggles here, though. 49% at the line, and he missed both. So Duke had a 7-0 run coming into the second half, and neither team has scored in the first nearly 2 minutes. Pitt has defended really well today. Pitt team that is the worst by defensive efficiency in the league has held its own as Foster travels because he grabbed his own shot, which didn't hit the rim, wasn't deflected, and Duke turns it over for a 6th time.
Are you aware of what that used to be called in a pickup game?
Oh my gosh, I am, because I did it a bunch and I can't remember it now.
Do you remember up and down?
Up and down?
Yes, that was the name of that that was the call in the pickup game. Never an official actual call in the game of basketball.
Yeah, just sadness was the call on the mean streets of St. Christopher School. Baldwin poked away by Sarr. Here's Harris on the run out for Duke. Darren Harris at the bucket will score the first fast break points for Duke tonight.
But how about the confidence that Jon Scheyer has inserted into Darren Harris by starting him in this second half? This could be a turning point for Darren Harris on this season, not just for this game, but for this season as well, allowing him to establish more of a role with this Blue Devil team.
Witherspoon on a hard charge gets fouled. Caden Boozer called for his 2nd.
One thing to play for Jon Scheyer, you've got to do the job defensively. This time Darren Harris coming up with the steal off a nice deflection by Sarr, and Harris turning defense into offense, using that left hand to finish over Cameron Corn to build a lead to 8 for the Blue Devils.
Dunning off a screen, got a great look. Caden Boozer collects it. Pitt's last game Saturday, they were down 34-32 at the half to SMU. Then the Mustangs started the half on a 9-0 run. Duke's got the first 5 here, and it's starting to feel like deja vu all over again for Jeff Capel on a Cameron Boozer 3. It's a Pitt timeout.
Cameron Boozer continues to impress. His shooting, his passing, everything about his game has been impressive all season long, and that 3 ball gives his team a double. So disrespectful to the Stanford Cardinal. Because
so.
when you look at the email that we get daily from Joey Brackets, Stanford is still considered, I believe, number 82 on his list.
Oh, you brought receipts.
But we got them over in a pile, and not even at the top of the pile.
It's tough. Right next to BC, who is not considered. And underneath Syracuse, who is not considered. Pitt turns it over. Meanwhile, Panthers just trying to catch their footing. 2-9. They came into today tied for last place in the ACC. Their only wins at Georgia Tech and an overtime win at home against Wake Forest.
Now, what's so significant about that now with the new ACC? 3 teams will not make the ACC tournament. And so it is right now 5 teams battling for those last 2 spots at the ACC tournament in Charlotte, which was new for last year once the 3 additional teams were added with SMU, Stanford, and Cal.
I'll tell you what, the word battling is doing a lot of work there.
Once again, I hope people recognize your voice in comparison to mine.
Corin snaps at 12-0. Duke run with a bucket, just his 2nd of the game. I mean, the league is genuinely so much better and deeper. Last year, 4 teams made the tournament. Duke was the only one to win its first round, let alone more. And of course, they made the Final Four. That 3 is bricked by Sarr. Josh Shire has still not gone to his bench here. He started the second half with Darren Harris and Caden Boozer in the game for 2 starters, Isaiah Evans and Malik Brown.
Well, it was a 12-0 run spanning the 2 halves. The end of the first half coming into the second half as Siulepa gets another 3 to go, his 4th 3 on the evening, and is able to make it a 6-point game. Roman Siulepa, all of his points from beyond the 3-point arc. Again, you love it to see the freshman making shots, but don't fall in love with it.
A cutting Harris found a lot of contact and a foul right at the rim. And he'll have free throws when we come back, but Pitt is lingering.
Roman Siulepa, who knocked down 3 first-half threes. He got the 3-point party started. Last 3 was able to make it a 6-point game, but you see Siulepa in the U19s playing against Koa Pete and a number of the great U.S. freshmen in the game this year, where Siulepa has really, over the last 13 games, stepped in and made his presence felt in Pittsburgh.
He averaged 19 and 9 in that World Cup last year. He was really good, and we asked Jeff Capel about him today. He said Lamar Patterson, who played at Pitt in 2009 to 14, he's been in Australia since 2021. He had seen Siulepa, so it was the former Panther Patterson who helped get Siulepa on Pitt's radar.
Siulepa was his teammate.
That's right. Harris, by the way, just missed 2. Duke is 3 for 6 at the line. Pitt is 0 for 3. Fundamentally sound basketball. This has not always been, but Pitt has mucked it up to stay within 6 of the nation's 4th-ranked team. Witherspoon bricks a 3.
And Malik Brown now back on the floor in his reserve role, which he's been in the majority of the season. Got the start with the absence of Patrick Dumba in this game.
Harris can't hit a 3. Cameron Boozer, offensive glass, lost it. And then Brown comes flying in to deflect the ball, which ended up deflecting back off of him. And now Isaiah Evans will get his first second-half minutes, replacing Harris for Duke.
And now you've got the starting lineup for this day's game on the floor for the Blue Devils as the Panthers go to the bench and bring Andrusaitis back into the game.
That's Pitt's first up of the second half, and you can see there, Pitt has not had a bench point. Andrusaitis in 11 minutes, and then Kieran Mullen played 1 second, actually 0.6 of a second at the end of the half. 6-point lead for Duke. Big favorite on the road, struggling with Pitt. Minor down to Siulepa. Back for DeMarco Minor. Andrusaitis, a deep one, is way short. Siulepa saves it to Brown. He's in the crowd. Duke's got a 5-on-4. Foster into the paint, little bump, and scores it.
Once again, Caleb Foster attacking the paint in transition before Pitt can set their defense, and taking advantage of that 6'5" frame, and has really worked on his body, much stronger than he was coming into Duke, and showing it off at the rim.
Siulepa. Pitt has taken 27 threes, only 10 twos.
Season high for the Panthers in 3:38. Still 13 minutes remaining. I'm sure they will get close to that as Dunning Jr. comes up with a nice turnover.
Andrusaitis puts it home with a foul.
Barry Dunning Jr. starting the fast break defensively. Siulepa finding Andrusaitis, who's able to finish through the contact, over the top. The 2 points and the opportunity to make the first free throw of the game for the Panthers.
Played at Iowa State a year ago as a bit player. Andrusaitis will not make the first free throw of the game, but Siulepa has the offensive rebound. Andrusaitis misses a 3.
But to beat Duke, those are the buckets you have to have. And it ends up turning into 2 points the other way for Isaiah Evans. But the offensive rebound, that could have been a 5-point possession for the Panthers. Unable to take advantage of a great look off the offensive rebound by CU Leopard.
Potentially devastating swing for Pitt. Corin will roll it home, get back to within 6.
Nice touch from Cam Corin, who we talked about his minutes played. Jeff Capel leans on him so heavily on his senior.
Brown nearly threw it away. Into the post, Boozer. Spinning inside, Boozer in all kinds of trouble. He turns it over. Another tough night for Boozer by his standards. And Cialepa got another great look from 3.
You don't mind that shot. Again, for a guy that's been as hot as Cialepa has been, you get him in transition. Boozer having a hard time getting back and locating Cialepa. Got a great look, just unable to get it to go.
Foster and the switch with Corin. Foster can't shake him. Deep 3 for Evans, and he sticks it in front of his bench.
Huge bucket on the road for Isaiah Evans as the Panthers starting to make a run. The energy, the juice is in the building. And what's the best way to kill that energy is knocking down a huge 3 on the next possession offensively. That layup gives Isaiah Evans confidence. He knocks down the 3, causing the timeout by Jeff Capel. And just like that, the Blue Devils build a 9-point lead.
What a swing. You have Pitt's best 3-point shooter by percentage wide open on one end. You have a 1-on-3 on the other. And these are the little moments where Pitt needs a few things to swing their way to try and hang around against this behemoth of a Duke team, which has now gone, as you can see, 5 for its last 7. Pitt has really struggled in the second half. 1 for 9 from 3. Corin misses near the rim, and here's Evans, who's got 12 points in 13 minutes, and then turns it over. Minor for Dunning. First points of the second half for Barry Dunning Jr.
Strong finish by Dunning Jr. attacking the basket. I love how he didn't settle on that possession, putting the pressure on the Blue Devils to defend them at the rim.
Foster off the screen. Boozer is all alone and bricks it. Pitt with 13 assists on 16 makes, but only shooting 37%, 28% from 3, and 0 for 4 from the line. Minor stripped. And that'll go to Duke off of DeMarco Minor.
Great hands once again by Malik Brown, who 5.6 deflections per game. But the deflection from Dunning, getting in the passing lane, knocking the basketball away, and then finishing on the other end of the floor. Great possession defensively and turning it into offense for Barry Dunning Jr., who has 15 points on the evening.
Duke is shooting it at 53%. Don't feel like it because they have 10 turnovers and they're only 4 for 15 from 3. Boozer out of a double team, airmails it.
That's similar to one of the turnovers we showed earlier in the first half. When the trap comes, but more importantly, you're considering Nicholas Humenia, who has to stay put. If Humenia stays, and he can absolutely knock down the 3, if he stays home, he gets a good look in comparison to trying to crash and get to the rim.
You think that's as much on the potential receiver as the passer?
It is definitely on the receiver. He has to be there to give Boozer that outlet.
Dunning into Corin against Boozer, lost it on a careless dribble.
How many times have we seen the Panthers get to 6, get to 5, and then squander possession, allowing the Blue Devils to come back down the floor and try to build a little more cushion on that lead?
And the 4th foul as Foster went in on a drive. Just the 2nd foul, should say, for Pitt. Sunday, the softball season has begun. The Shriners Children's Clearwater Invitational. Dozens of amazing matchups all weekend long. Missouri, NC State, A&M, NC State, and Duke, Missouri on the ACC Network Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Another 3 for Isaiah Evans, who has found the touch 3 for 4 from deep, 3 for 4 inside the arc, and Duke stretches it out to 10.
And how about our conversation with John Shire earlier where he talked about shot selection for Isaiah Evans and how much that made a difference in his percentage.
Short for Minor on a 3. John said Isaiah Evans, his percentage is way down. The percentage on open shots is very similar to last year, but the contested shots, he said he's somewhere in the 20s in terms of percentage. And tonight the shots have been much cleaner looks. Minor bumped it away from Foster, so no backcourt violation, but Minor is all over Foster, who has just 5 to get up a shot into Boozer, who lost it again. Minor bounces ahead for Dunning. He turned it back over, and back and forth this pendulum swings.
Underneath out of bounds play, America's play, it screen to screener. Isaiah Evans actually fakes it, and it gives him enough space, and then just a little wiggle on the sideline over there, celebrating with his friends. Tyler Thornton, assistant coach, up, wanting to celebrate with him. Forgot he was coaching at that point.
You call it America's play, the
Screen
baseline play?
Yeah, but he didn't actually set the screen. It was a fake, and that was what forced Dunning to give him a little bit of room, thinking he was going to have to help. And Isaiah getting right off to the corner, able to knock down the 3. Doesn't need much time.
Maybe Canada's play then?
No.
Tweet?
Nope. Nope.
It was a variation on America's play.
It was not.
Here's Boozer from Boozer. Short. Duke has not been able to run away. Pitt has not had a sustained run to get back into it. It's just been an arm's length game pretty much the whole second half. Minor from Intrasitis. Pitt's taken 2/3 of its shot from 3, and Intrasitis throws it to a cameraman. This is a game begging for a timeout. It will get one. Duke up 10. Best win in college basketball this year at Michigan. And then if you look at the net rankings, Illinois is number 4. They're one of 2 teams to win at Illinois, along with Nebraska. So Wisconsin may have 2 of the 3 best wins in college basketball this year. And they are a force to be reckoned with in the behemoth that is the Big Ten. Here in the ACC, Duke leads Pitt by 10. Panthers have struggled with no points in the last 3:16, 4 turnovers. Cameron Boozer, a quiet 11-9 tonight. He has 4 turnovers as well. What do you look for Duke, CA, in the final 8 minutes?
Well, you're going to see a heavy dose of Boozer, and when you consider that regardless of the 4 turnovers, he's still the guy that can deliver at the end. Malik Brown getting his shot blocked at the basket off a nice find from Caden Boozer.
Dame Sarr sticks it from the corner. Nice find from Evans, and this is the largest lead for Duke.
Sarr starting to exert himself on the offensive end. Had 10 points in the first half versus UNC on Saturday. His 13 points were tied his ACC high as he's becoming more of a factor on the offensive end.
Brown, I think he got poked in the face in that possession. He's
Malik Brown from Virginia. Be tough. Don't worry about that.
He had a ton of injuries last year. He played through. No doubt in his toughness. Intrasitis misses a 3 at the end of the shot clock. Cialepa, offensive rebound, and lost it. Knocked away by Brown. Pitt still doesn't have a second chance point.
Isaiah Evans attacking off the bounce and makes the nice find, the left-hand pass to Dame Sarr, who knocks down the corner 3. And all of a sudden, it's been the 3-point shooting for the Blue Devils. 4 of 9 in the second half, where it was an area where Pitt was able to dominate in the first half.
Cialepa got fouled by Boozer, who just reached in.
That's what Jeff Capel's been waiting for from Cialepa. Even though the 3s have been going, wants to see him more aggressive, attacking downhill, catching on the run. As Boozer reaches in, slaps him on the arm, Cialepa able to finish with this first basket inside the painted area in this game.
And Pitt has still not hit a free throw. Came into the game tied for 347th in the country at 66.7%. Regrettably, they've gotten worse. They're 0 for 5 tonight. Boozer to Evans, trying to get free off a Brown screen. Evans sticks the top of the key three.
It doesn't take much. And you're talking about a young man who did not start this second half, received the message from his head coach, John Shire, of the way he needed to perform in the second half of this game. I believe they're going to get Malik Brown on that foul, trying to bust through the screen. Malik still a little bothered about the friendly fire that he took earlier on a possession that has him checking his lip for blood during the breaks.
It's his third foul. He's the only player in any foul trouble today. Remember, Duke without Patrick Gungba, out with a wrist injury. He's questionable coming into today. They hope it won't be a long-term absence. Witherspoon out of bounds off of Evans, who has 11 of his 18 and a half.
And you see Cameron Corn swinging through with that. We didn't swing with the elbow. Malik Brown catching the shoulder. And so great job by our officiating crew not making a call on that one. That was inadvertent.
Not making a call and not going to the monitor for long review. Lawrence Armstrong, Tony Henderson, Courtney Green have been all over the game tonight. Minor got it. Just the second three and a half for Pitt.
But inside out, getting Ciolep an opportunity to play in the post, has a mismatch versus Sarr, forcing the help and allowing Minor to relocate to the corner for three.
Under 5.5 to play. Duke trying to get to 11-1 in the league as Evans throws it away. And it's finished on the other end by Dunning. It was Sarr who turned it over looking for Evans. Dunning with a fast break bucket. And Pitt is within 9. Duke will take its second timeout.
Got a cameraman along the way, which always counts for extra points.
That's a three-point layup.
Should
it's
be.
Not reflected.
No, didn't put it on the screen.
Will Wade last night, an NC State bludgeon Louisville, said it was one loss. It doesn't count for 3, though it should. So we can make up the rules as we go along here in the league. There's a bucket for Cameron Boozer, who has had a quiet second half. And out of the timeout, a chance for a three-point play.
But where do the Blue Devils go when they need a bucket? They find 12 on the interior, and he delivers a nice left-hand finish off the glass through the contact. An opportunity for a three-point play.
Second foul against Cameron Corrin. And Boozer 2 for 2 from the line tonight. And a three-point play is converted to stretch the lead back to a dozen. Zoo has not had much to howl about tonight, especially in the second half. Duke led by 6 at the break. They're plus 6 since the break.
We're going to get Malik Brown once again trying to impede the progress of Cameron Corn going up to set the screen.
Which is his fourth.
That's going to be the fourth foul on Malik. And remember, with no Patrick Gungba, Malik's going to have to be careful down the stretch here. He's an important member of this team, often finishes games, whether he starts or not.
Ciolep drive it into Boozer. He finishes through the contact. Roman Ciolep with another three-point play opportunity.
And now Roman Ciolep attacking off the bounce. We've seen him much more aggressive in the second half, trying to get to the rim, able to get his shoulders past Boozer. A little bit of a chicken wing. But let's see if Ciolep can make the first free throw once again for the Panthers in this game.
He's 0 for 3. They are 0 for 5. And Pitt's long national nightmare is over. Yes, Virginia. Pitt can make a free throw. Foster on the handoff from Brown has the switch with the big Corrin. Foster goes right at him.
Now, we talk about Caleb Foster using his size advantage over smaller guards. At times he takes on a much bigger challenge of Cameron Corrin, but still able to finish through the contact.
First double-figure game in his last 9 since he had 20 at Louisville January the 6th. Witherspoon, tough one. And Foster had a good all-around game. 11 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. Big step up this year for the junior from Harrisburg. Best scoring year, best field goal percentage, best passing year of his 3 at Duke.
Well, he's got a permanent role. He's their point guard on the season, and this is really where he can help this team. Shooting the basketball. This young man was an elite shooter in high school, has not truly found that confidence in a Blue Devil uniform, but now stepping up, making big plays at the end of the game.
5 straight for Foster, and Duke is trying to put the finishing touch on this late night. Witherspoon spinning and missing. Foster with his 6th rebound. It's been Caleb Foster to seize command of this game down the stretch. The 3rd-year Duke guard senses an opportunity, kicks it for Evans, off the shot fake, hits a dagger. Isaiah Evans and Caleb Foster have made this building their own in the 2nd half, and Duke has pulled away in Pittsburgh. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by Progressive Insurance. Bundle home and auto and save.
Asking a question that has never been asked. Do we have too many pitchers? Do we have too many arms? Never asked.
How much time can we spend discussing the merits of Tomoyuki Sagano in Coors Field next year? That will boost our ratings here in America, in Japan, globally. The fight for the American League East is on, Corey. Kate Povich be a big part of it. Roman Cialepa is fouled on the drive. Duke has really closed this game well. 6 straight field goals made for Duke. It hasn't been Cameron Boozer necessarily down the stretch. Isaiah Evans with 21 in 22 minutes. Caleb Foster with 14, 6, and 5. Again, we thought Duke without Patrick Young, but would still have enough to beat Pitt. It took a little longer for them to pull away as Malik Brown fouls out. But this has been an impressive close to the game.
Well, let's talk about the first thing that John Shire told us earlier. We didn't close the game. We didn't control our controllables. And so when you consider that they've done that in this game, but they've gotten it from other pieces outside of Boozer, this is something that can build confidence for this team when you have Caleb Foster knowing that he can play like this at the end of games. And then you get Isaiah Evans knowing he can play this well at the end of games. You don't put as much pressure on Cameron Boozer to do everything for you down the stretch.
Boozer's pass is kicked.
And let's also add, life does not get easier for the Blue Devils. They've got Clemson coming into the building on Saturday. A Clemson team that only has 1 loss in ACC play, playing great basketball, and Brad Brownell has tremendous depth with that group. And so a challenge lies ahead for the Blue Devils on Saturday at noon.
And the next 2 Saturdays, the Clemson game you mentioned, and then a little out-of-conference jaunt with Michigan. Well, next Saturday, 6:30.
And the Saturday after that, Virginia.
Yes.
So again, when you get after the Super Bowl, the second half of the season for the Blue Devils is always going to be strenuous.
The Saturday after that, by the way, is North Carolina. And then the Saturday after that, maybe the ACC championship. Caleb Foster driving, and he got fouled with 4.5 to shoot. Well, tomorrow night in the SEC, a Florida team that went toe-to-toe with Duke at Cameron this year, lost by just 1, is playing its best basketball of the season. The defending champs go to Athens to take on Georgia, followed by Tennessee and Mississippi State.
And don't look now, another elite freshman starting to come into his own. Nate Mint from Virginia, by the way, getting the job done. 3 straight 20-point games for Nate in SEC play.
Boozer hard charging in for another and 1 possibility. Cameron Boozer with 16 and a chance for 17 at the line.
But this is what makes him a cheat code. This is unfair. At 6'9", 250 pounds, the ability to handle the basketball and go past guards. And once he gets into the painted area with that physicality, there's nothing you can do about it.
16, 9 of 4. Did have 4 turnovers for a 2nd straight game, but 36 minutes played.
May I ask you, do you know who the all-time leader in turnovers is in NBA history? Apparently you don't know.
I mean, I'm just going to go guess based off of total minutes played. Is it LeBron?
It would be LeBron James. And when you have a high usage rate, as does LeBron, as does Cameron Boozer, you're going to have turnovers. There are going to be games where you have turnovers. But more importantly, when you're making positive plays, more positive plays than negative plays, coaches trust you with the basketball.
You're what, 4th, 5th on that list?
No, not quite. And it's only because of the minutes played, not because of my turnover rate, because that was high.
Final minute of the game. Scott Van Pelt is coming up. Scott is watching his final minute attentively. I know that, and not just to see if we're going to talk about Andrew Kittredge. Foster has it knocked away. Here's Sarr. That three is short, and Boozer will save it to Foster. Duke 7 for its last 9. Pitt has not hit a field goal in the last 4, and that rebound will go to Boozer, which gives him his 13th double-double of the season. Foster has been the man tonight. That one's way too strong. Here's Witherspoon. I'm just asking out loud, has Scott Van Pelt ever started the show with a bad beat that immediately preceded his Sports Center?
He said, "Big man's in the building." That's
I'm
my
just
guy,
asking the questions.
So I'm sure it will come up.
Duke wins by 16 here in Pittsburgh. Not necessarily pretty, but John Shire